Hey guys, welcome to an impromptu live. So, we are doing Tarot Tuesday this week on my channel. So, if you're not familiar, I've been doing a few live videos on the YouTube channel for my deck, The Key Tarot, but we've been having some tech difficulties. So I'm going to pop on here. And if you are watching now, congratulations, you are watching an impromptu live video. So we'll see how this goes. I'm looking forward to chatting with you all. We are going to be discussing intuition today. And I do have a drink for our live. I have a cranberry margarita, so it should make the conversation fun. And yeah, so please, be forewarned. This is not super planned. This is kind of an impromptu live, so take that with a grain of salt. And I see you guys joining in the comments. Hey guys, how's it going? So we're going to talk about intuition. We're going to talk about how to build your intuitive skills and how intuition works within doing a tarot reading. But first, I want to hear from you guys what you think your current level of intuitive abilities are. So if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 meaning I have like no intuitive abilities, and 10 being like a full-on psychic, let me know in the comments right now what number you would give yourself. Me personally, I wish I was better at intuition. I wish I was more psychic. But if I'm honest, maybe I give myself a 5 or a 6. But I've improved, I think, over the years. And it's something I've worked on in the past. And it's something I'm dedicated to working on even more in the future. I see you guys commenting now. Kristen is giving herself a 4. Coco's giving herself a 7 or an 8. Peach says 8. Jamie says most days 7. Yeah, so, intuition is one of those things that, in my view, is a skill that we build over time. We're probably most familiar with intuition that warns us of danger, right? When you are in an uncomfortable situation and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, or you get a sudden shiver down your spine, that's your intuition telling you that something might start going wrong soon. So you probably should get out of what area you're in. And that's, probably the most well-known expression of intuition, but intuition is so much more than just a warning system for us humans. And I think that when you look at intuition from a bit of a more mystical standpoint, then we get to start talking about ideas like the subconscious or the collective unconscious, which in my view is where intuition lies, right? It lies in our subconscious. And that's why, it's such an important skill to have for tarot or reading runes or any other divination system. Because when we're using a divination system, what we're ultimately trying to do is we're trying to temporarily turn off our conscious mind and turn on our unconscious self. And then we can kind of dig into some secrets, either deep down within your own unconscious, and kind of bring them to life so that you can understand them better. Or in the case of collective unconscious, if you believe in that, the collective unconscious is the idea that all us humans and potentially even spirits, deities, nature, we're all connected in this kind of deep layer underneath our conscious mind. And when you think about doing a tarot reading for someone, how are you able to divine information about their life or their future? That's because you are able to connect to them through the collective unconscious, that meeting place where we all exist. So obviously that's my own 2 cents on the collective unconscious, but that's why it's so important for anyone looking to build a divination skill like tarot or runes, because we're like tapping into the unknown when you think about it, digging into the unconscious realm, the collective unconscious. This is kind of really neat stuff, in my opinion. But let me take a moment and check your comments before moving on. Jody says in the comments, I have a bad habit of not listening to my intuition. Yeah, that can be a big struggle, especially I think for women. Often we want to ignore our intuition. And when it's, blaring at us, sometimes we don't want to make a scene or leave if there's really nothing there. And it's a struggle a lot of times to accept our intuitive feelings and to even trust them. So yeah, that's something that takes some time. Let's see. Peach says, I annoy people by saying what they were going to say or talk about the exact thing they were going to talk about. So yeah, that's a pretty good sign that you're really developing those psychic abilities if you can do that. Great comments, guys. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this topic. Kristen says, I ignore my intuition about people because I don't want to be judgmental. Yeah, it's a fine balance that you have to make there with intuition and that. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk a bit about intuition and tarot specifically because tarot is such a great tool to both use intuition and to develop your intuition. So when you're doing a tarot reading, you are kind of thinking of it like different layers that you're stacking on to each individual card's meaning. Yes, the cards all have a, 3 keywords meaning, or maybe a couple paragraphs about each card, but that's only one piece. If that was the case, then every tarot reader would be giving you the exact same interpretation for that card. But we know that if you, get readings from different readers, they might have an entirely different way of interpreting that specific card. And that's because a lot of readers layer on an intuitive feeling to their interpretation. So you're not just interpreting the meaning of the card, you are also giving your intuitive understanding of it. And that intuitive understanding is going to change up how you treat your interpretation, whether it's going to be more positive, more negative. Maybe your intuition is going to draw you towards one symbol and you can really bring that into the conversation. So one of the things I like to do when I'm doing a reading, and this would also work for runes as well, when you flip over a card, before you try and remember what the card's meaning is, to spend a moment and just feel the card and ask yourself, how does this card make me feel? And maybe even close your eyes and see if there are any visuals, any images that come to mind, any thoughts, any ideas. We have a super chat from Vernon. Thank you so much. He says, the book Wisdom of the Mystic Masters by Joseph Weed is a really good for learning intuition. I'll definitely have to check that book out. That sounds interesting. Thank you so much, Vernon. So yeah, there are so many ways that we can work on improving our intuition, but next time you're doing a divinatory practice like tarot or runes, before you even try and use your conscious mind, spend a moment to just kind of feel, how does this image make you feel? That's your intuition, and that's going to layer on some additional context, some additional clues on how you should interpret the reading. And a lot of readers really rely on their intuition. Maybe they haven't read any tarot books at all, and they read entirely on intuition, which is something you can do if you are in that high level range of intuitive or psychic abilities. But for myself, I tend to do 50-50. I interpret the card based on my intuitive feelings, but I also rely on my knowledge of symbolism and the various meanings of each individual card. So I combine those things to really create a unique reading for that specific person or that specific situation. So that's why, every reading you do might be different because your intuition that day might be telling you something unique. Let's see, Boris has an interesting comment here. He says, personally, I prefer to trust my gut and the voice in my head that gives me guidance, or interpret dreams that are strong and remain in my brain. Yeah, a lot of people are really good at trusting their intuition and listening to themselves. But I think that in modern day society, it can be extra hard to develop our intuitive abilities because we're getting distracted all the time. Like our phone is always buzzing. There's always something to do, to see. We're kind of overstimulated in a lot of ways in modern society. And developing intuition means you need to first quiet yourself and quiet the mind so that you can understand these deeper truths. So it is a practice, it is a skill set that does take time to learn and excel at. And then I see Jamie has a question here. She is the co-creator of our deck, the Key Tarot. We both created this deck last year. The link is down below if you don't have a copy yet. And earlier we were asking people on the Key Tarot Instagram page if they had any questions about intuition. One of the questions they had was, where does intuition come from? In my view, it does come from our unconscious and the collective unconscious. So let me know in the comments if you have a different thought there. I like to hear your ideas. And then the other question we got on Instagram is, what are different types of feelings you get that describe intuition? This is a neat question too. And another thing I do when I'm about to perform a reading is I'll start by first kind of quieting my mind for a moment. So I'm kind of getting myself in that more Zen space. And then when I'm shuffling, I'm concentrating on the question that the reading will be addressing. And one of the weird ways I use my intuition is after I've given the cards a good shuffle, I like to cut the deck a few times as well. And I will just do that until I get an intuitive pull telling me to stop. Now, it's different for everyone. For me, I kind of feel it like in the pit of my stomach. It's kind of like a little kick in the stomach, not in a painful way, but that's where I feel it. And I'm like, okay, my intuition is telling me to stop shuffling here and to start laying out the cards. So often I'll feel it deep down kind of in my stomach, though when I'm flipping over a card and I'm spending a few moments thinking about my intuitive understanding of it, I might even close my eyes, and sometimes colors will kind of flash. And that can help me interpret if I'm going to be taking that meaning in a more positive or a negative way. Sometimes a symbol will kind of appear to me, and that can also help guide the intuition. So yeah, it's different for different people. And those are two ways that I kind of feel the intuition, mostly in my gut. And then also when I'm purposely trying to rely on it, I usually will close my eyes and try to feel and see if anything comes up. Let's see. Jamie says, I see things in my mind's eye or in reality, seeing symbols or hearing words and phrases. Yeah, so there's so many different ways that your intuition can be interacting with you or speaking with you or giving you signs and indicators. Let's see. Peach says, I think of intuition as a soft, annoying tap on your shoulder that your first reaction may be to brush away. Yeah, oftentimes we don't want to listen to our intuition, but usually our first initial, snap judgment is often the correct one. This is true not just in, the mystical arts like tarot or runes. When you're taking an exam, for example, and you first think, oh, the answer is this, but then you spend too much time rereading the question and you change your mind and you pick a different answer. More often than not, it turns out the first one was right. So you probably should have listened to your intuition on that one, because often our intuition can understand things quicker than our conscious mind can. And our conscious mind often gets in the way of understanding truth. So yeah, that was a great comment. Elliot has an interesting question. He says, do you think there could be a link between the mysterious nature of intuition and the idea that we don't know where thoughts come from? Yeah, I think there is still a lot of mystery here. We have not solved the concept of consciousness. Scientists still don't know what consciousness is. They still don't really know what intuition is or how it works. The more and more research is coming out showing that our thoughts do indeed have matter and can affect change, which is really exciting. So it's kind of one of those things that I feel like the witches and the mystical people of the ages were on science's side a lot of times, just the science wasn't there yet, but it's starting to get there. I really recommend the book Real Magic by Dean Radin that looks at things like intuition and psychic abilities from a scientific perspective, and he does lab tests, like double-blind lab tests, like really serious, good research stuff to prove a lot of these kind of psychic traits and abilities. So science is really coming around here, but they haven't solved all the questions, and they may never fully solve everything. But the idea of consciousness and, how we tap into it and the wisdom that can come from our unconscious mind is still very much unknown as of yet. Let's see. So a couple other things you can do if you are wanting to work on your intuitive abilities. If you do have a tarot deck, or you could even do this with runes, the way I do it with a tarot deck is I'll usually separate out the minor arcana. So I'll take the minor arcana out, and then I will try to intuitively guess the suit that I'm about to pull. So for example, it might be fun to do a couple with you guys. So there are 4 suits in the minor arcana. There's pentacles, cups, swords, and wands. So let's do a little test for you guys, and we'll see how you guys do in the comments. So when you hold up a card, I want you guys to intuitively guess what suit this card represents. So in the comments, put down if you think it's a pentacles, a sword, a cups, or a wand card. And you can do this, of course, multiple times. This is just a fun practice to do, practicing your psychic abilities. And this is just an easy way to do it with a tarot card. But I see several of you guys guessing swords. Let's see, 5 people guessing swords, 1 person guessing cups, 2 people guessing pentacles. So are you ready to see the result? Pentacles. So a few of you guys got it. And you can do the same thing. Maybe instead of guessing the suit, you guess the number. Here we have number 9. Let's try one more for you guys. This could be fun. Okay, one more. Spend a moment, close your eyes. Try to intuitively feel the suit of the card that I am looking at. When you're doing this, what you're trying to do is tap into the collective unconscious. I know what suit it is because I'm looking at it. So through your intuition and through your own psychic abilities, you're trying to tap into the collective unconscious so that you can kind of feel and see through my eyes and in a certain way. So let's see what you guys get. I see a lot of people saying cups, some people saying swords, few people saying wands. Okay, are we ready to see? We got wands. So we have the 5 of wands here. So this is something that can be really exciting to try repeatedly. So say every day you do 10 of these. You take out your minor arcana and you do 10 practices. You hold the card, but you don't look at it. You guess what it is. You flip it over, see if you're right. And it's kind of crazy, but if you do it enough times, you will get better at it, which almost defies the laws of physics, but it's really true. You can train your, I guess it's, what is it, ESP or extrasensory perception. You can train your psychic abilities. So maybe the first time you do this, you get 1 out of 10 right. But maybe if you keep doing it a few months down the road, you're getting like 5 or 6 out of 10 right. So this is a fun experiment you can try that can help boost your psychic abilities and your intuition. Another thing you can do if you have runes, same kind of thing. Just have the rune down so you can't see the symbol. Guess what it is, flip it over, and then make a note of if you got it right or not. So that's kind of a fun thing you can do. Another thing you can do if you draw a card and you feel like you're still not getting any intuition from it. You're just not kind of feeling it. You're not getting any insight. What you can do is, this works better if you're doing a reading for yourself and you don't have much time constraint. But say you drew the death card and you don't yet kind of feel any intuitive feeling. Sure, you can interpret the card's meaning, but you want something more. One of the things I like to do is I will look at the card for a while, try and kind of memorize all those subtle details in the image. I'll close my eyes, I'll put on some music, and I'll try and put myself in a meditation where I visualize myself in this actual space. So I'll visualize myself walking down that road in the distance and eventually reaching the main figure. And in the meditation, I will ask her in the picture, in the main figure in the image, what she wants me to know. And you'd be surprised, a lot of times you will hear an answer, or it's really your intuition that's answering that question. And then you can open your eyes, exit the meditation, and now you have an extra piece of wisdom that can help guide your interpretation of the reading. So that can be really fun, or even a little spooky to do with certain cards like this one. But I like to do meditations like that a lot, where I try and place myself in the card and see what information comes from that. Let's see. Great questions, guys. Just checking your thoughts. I see a comment from Modern Anteros saying ESP Trainer is an app. And yeah, I have used that one as well. That's a great way to practice building your intuition and your psychic abilities if you don't have a tarot deck or runes or anything like that. All it is 4 colored squares. and behind one of those squares is a picture. And you try and guess which square has the picture behind it. And then it tracks, how many you get right, and then it'll track you over time. So you can really kind of see how you're doing and how you're improving. Of course, this is a skill that's going to take months to develop. So don't get disenchanted if it's not working right away. I see a question here from Jamie saying, what would you do if you kept seeing the same rune symbol over and over again? I think that's really interesting, and that would definitely be something to take note of, because you might not just see it when you're doing rune readings, you might actually see that symbol out in public, and that could be a synchronicity. When you get that repetition of a particular symbol, it's really the universe telling you need to be paying attention. Same thing with tarot. Say I do, a reading every day. And I've done this before where I'll do like just a card of the day pull. And sometimes I'll get the same card like 3 days in a row. And I'm like, this is crazy. And what it's really telling me is this is something I need to deal with. And it's really important. And it's appearing again and again and again because I haven't dealt with it yet. So it's requiring my attention. So really do pay close attention if you do get a repetition of some kind. It's the universe telling you that, hey, you gotta be listening to this. You gotta be taking this message to heart. So I did also want to show you a couple cards that I connect with intuition, or that to me represent the concept of intuition. The first one, of course, is the High Priestess. You can see her here. Sorry about the glare. So in the High Priestess card, and in most interpretations of the High Priestess, she's always seated in front of a veil or a piece of cloth. That represents the division between the realms of conscious and subconscious, the realms of life and death even. Often you'll even see references to Persephone, for example, in the High Priestess, because she also wanders between the realms of the living and the dead. And the idea being with the High Priestess is this represents someone who has a mastery of walking between those two states and realms, someone who can actually dig into their intuition and understand things really well, someone who is able to gain insights from even the realms beyond, who knows, but they're able to get that information and translate it here in the conscious world. So of course, this is the main tarot card I associate with intuition. Though I brought up the Two of Swords too, because this represents when you're not listening to your intuition. And this one, the figure is holding two swords equidistant. She's got a blindfold on. And this card represents the inability to make a decision. You're just stuck at a crossroads. You feel like you can't go forward. And what this card is saying is that you need to remove your blindfold and you need to turn towards the water and start to feel the answer instead of trying to think of the answer. Water in tarot is often a symbol representing intuition. That's why you also see it in the High Priestess card background. And this one, being a sword suit, it's about the mind and how we often get too trapped in, replaying our thoughts, can't come to any final decisions, too many pros and cons. This card is saying, stop trying to think, just feel the answer, trust your intuition. And then the last one I strongly connect with intuition is the Queen of Cups. She's probably only second to the High Priestess in terms of intuitive abilities. And because it's a court card, in this case a queen, it represents usually an aspect of your personality coming through. Or it can represent someone else in your life who exhibits these personality traits. And the Queen of Cups I see is someone who's an empath, someone who's really able to connect with others and intuitively know right away if they're having a bad day. That's a really amazing skill to have, but often it can become overwhelming for people who are empaths because they get all this information, all this emotional energy coming at them at all times. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I'd like to get your questions as well for our last few minutes here. Let's see. Jamie is asking if I have a quick tip for tapping into intuition during a busy day. Yeah, I think daily meditation is another thing that is great for building your own intuitive and psychic abilities. Because, like I was saying earlier, it's so hard to quiet our minds in the modern day when we constantly have all this stimulation and noise and visuals and phones and everything like that. So developing a daily meditation practice, even if it's just 5 minutes, can really help you tap into your intuition when you're trying to use it for something like divination, because it's really hard to even tap into your intuition if you're not able to first quiet the mind and to kind of enter in that more peaceful state of mind. If your mind's constantly like chattering in the background, you're not going to really feel those intuitive pieces of wisdom. So yeah, definitely daily meditation is something to try out. Let me see. Let me know if you have any more questions. Again, thank you so much for watching today. Sorry for those of you that were tuning in to Tarot Tuesday on our main Key Tarot channel. We did have some tech difficulties that we're still struggling through, so I thought I would just jump on here for an impromptu edition of Tarot Tuesday. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I'd love to hear if you ever have any tarot questions. Feel free to reach out. Let me see. Oh, I got another question here. Angela is saying, what do you think it could mean if you keep pulling a certain card and you don't know what it's trying to tell you, and then it starts coming up reversed? So reversals are something that you can read as a reader. I personally don't read reversals. So that's just when you're, flipping over the cards, some of them might appear reversed. In my opinion, I think each card has a positive and a negative aspect. And instead of, having reversals in my reading and then reading them a certain way, I like to actually use my intuition to see how I feel about the card, if I'm going to be taking it in a more positive or negative direction. So I don't read reversals, but if you do and a card keeps appearing and then it appears reversed, it's probably because you haven't addressed the main issue that the card is mentioning. So that would be really important to do before things start falling apart. If it's reversed, it could start to mean a more negative representation of that card is going to come into your life soon. Let's see. Peach is saying you should do more exercises with us, like guess what card I put under my bed, answer next week. Thank you, Peach, and thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, it would be fun to do some more practices, some more tests with you guys, some little experiments. And developing psychic abilities is something I'm trying to do. I'm sure many of you would be interested in doing that too. So maybe I'll set something up like that. Thanks again for supporting the show. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. I will still be seeing you 5 p.m. Central on Friday for Pagan Happy Hour. I have not yet picked a topic for Pagan Happy Hour, so if you'd like to put your 2 cents in on the topic for this Friday, feel free to comment that below. And again, I have a ton of links. I have a link for our deck, the Key Tarot, if you are a tarot enthusiast and would like to pick up a copy. This is what it looks like. It is nice and gold and shiny, very shiny. And I also have links for if you're ever interested in having me do a tarot reading for you or a tarot lesson. I do those one-on-one through Zoom. So I have those links down below, and I'll see you guys Friday. Bye.